Hey folks, got a 2012 Chevy Sonic here. The radiator fan had gotten out of balance, loose on the shaft, and was rubbing up against the shroud here. So went and picked one up, and we're going to take and install it. So let's get to fixing it up. So you're going to need an 8mm socket. There's two screws that are on the radiator. One's on the bottom, one's on the top, and those are on the passenger side. I'm using an air ratchet here to take them out. You could just use a regular wrench. However, you do have limited room to move it back and forth. So I was taking the screw out. I did drop it. There is a panel that's on the underneath side of the vehicle that it landed on. It did not fall through to the ground. I did get the top one out just fine. At this point, I kicked the car to see if I can get that screw or bolt to fall off, and I couldn't. Went and looked for my magnetic pickup tool, couldn't find it, so I used a breaker bar with a magnet stuck on it. I was able to pick the screw up just fine with that. In an effort to stay organized, I went and got a magnetic tray to put those in. That's kind of the outside of the norm for me. I'm usually strode everywhere. So I take those two screws, put them in that magnetic tray, and get back to work. There's only a total of 4 screws that you're going to take out in doing the project. So now we're going to switch to a 10mm socket and remove the radiator reservoir. There's 2 screws that are up on the top of that, or 2 bolts if you will. Once you get that reservoir removed, just set it over to the side on top of the engine and get it out of your way. Next, you're going to have to undo the connector, which is up on the top of the driver's side. You will have to remove the little blue tab. I used a pick to pull that out, and then I was able to disconnect that connector. It was a little hard. This one probably hasn't ever been off, so 10 years of heat made it a little bit tough to get off, but I was able to pull it off after removing the little blue safety connector. And just kind of move that out of the way. Now start looking around, seeing if everything's disconnected, and I think that it is, but it's not. So I would recommend watching the entire video. In about probably 1 minute, I show you a different connection that you're going to have to disconnect in order to get this out. It's going to be over on the driver's side where I have that light shine. But I'm going to continue to kind of yank on this and try to get it out. The way that this goes in, there's 2 tabs that it fits in on the driver's side. So they have to be shifted over to the passenger side, and then the whole unit will come out. So here's where I grab my trim removal tool and get it on that transmission cooler line holder and pop it off of the fan shroud. You could use a long screwdriver, crowbar, or something along those lines. Once we get those radiator lines and the clip removed from the assembly, we can now work on getting it removed. So you are going to need to shift it over to the passenger side. I do get my trim removal tool in there to kind of help get those tabs removed. And then you can lift up on the passenger side and kind of angle it out, and the unit will come out with a little bit of persuasion. Yes, we finally have it out. Here you can see how it's wobbling, and that's what was causing it to not run true and make that noise as it was rubbing on that radiator shroud. So I grabbed the new one that I bought, and before I take it out of the packaging, I hold it up and verify that it's the exact same unit before taking it out of the plastic. That way I could return it if it wasn't. Now I'm going to take it out of the plastic and reconfirm that it is the same. Now we're ready to take the new one and put it in place. It actually went in a whole lot easier than it did come out. So you just kind of drop it down in the same area that it came out, keeping in mind that those tabs that are on the driver's side have to go into the little holes that they were in. Kind of work it around a little bit and lift up on that passenger side. Helps a little bit. The whole time you're doing this on the passenger side, there is one of those transmission lines that are going to get in your way. If you take and kind of bend it out a little bit, that'll help. Obviously don't put too much pressure on that because you don't want to bend it too much. That's what I'm using this little pry bar for here. I'm able to kind of get in there and wedge it out just a little bit. Trying to find the right place to get into is the difficult part. Here I get in with my hand and just kind of use a little muscle to push it out. Actually lift out on the bottom area of that fan kind of helps. It wants to wedge into the little area that fits into. Here I take and reach down where that connector that was holding those transmission lines were and plug that back into the little hole. It's not a connector, it's more of a hold. There's two transmission lines that are there. Hey, if you guys would, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new content. I hope this video helps you out. If you've got a Chevy Sonic, you need to replace that radiator fan. Here I'm trying to find where the connector went. I think when the cat ran across the hood a few moments ago, he took it with him. I literally spend about 5 minutes looking for where this connector is. Turning the light off and on might help me find it, I don't know. Maybe I can get a little closer. Where did it go? I guess I'm gonna have to stop this video and pick back up once I find it. It literally takes me about 10 minutes to figure out where the connector is. It somehow got tucked up underneath the engine a little bit, so you may want to take and put a bright orange sticker or something on that. I kind of step back and just go, where in the hell did the connector go? Alright, I stopped the video and restarted it. I found the connector here. I was going to make it look like it was no biggie, but I figured you guys would get a kick out of that. And heck, you may lose the connector too. So anyway, plug the connector back in and then make sure that little blue safety catch is plugged into the connector so that it doesn't magically disconnect itself. So at this point we need to take that transmission line and put it back into that fan shroud. There's two little tabs that it just pops right into, holds it in place. And now we're ready to put those 8mm bolts back in. Make sure I put the wrench in forward. And then I hand started them just to make sure that I wasn't cross threading them. And then get that wrench on there and lightly tighten it down. It is all plastic, so you don't want to put too much torque on that and strip those out. So here I'm hand threading the bottom one on, again to make sure it's not cross threaded. Then I'll grab my air wrench and lightly tighten that one as well. Again, this is all plastic, so you want to use very low torque on these. Now we're going to take that radiator overflow. There is a little metal tab that sticks up from the bottom that overflow hooks into, and then you put those 10mm bolts back in. Again, I hand start them to make sure I'm not cross threaded. And then that was the 8mm, so I'm grabbing the 10mm now, putting those on there. And I just use a regular wrench on these because, again, plastic. 10-year-old plastic on top of that. Definitely don't want to crack it. Here I take and put that overflow tube back into the little connection that held it. Just kind of verify that everything's buttoned up. Everything looks good. Thumbs up. Let's give it a start and make sure that it works. As you can see, running good, nice and balanced. Time to get all washed up. Hey, thanks for watching. Please like the video if it helped you out. Subscribe to my channel. I do have lots of new videos that I'll be posting as I take on projects around the farm. So, hope you enjoyed. Thanks.